The redoubtable Dershowitz. How do you see what was laid out here? What do you see as the plus and minus, Professor?
You use the key word. This is a novel prosecution. What I used to tell my students is prosecutors ought to be C students, not A students. Prosecutors have to go with the law as it is. Nothing novel, nothing unique. Now, if you want to multiply that 10 times, when you're going after the man who is the leading candidate to run against the current president of the United States, you have to have the most mundane, most convincing, most traditional, most precedential case imaginable. You cannot stretch the law. You cannot be creative. You cannot try to be novel. In the end, it's conceivable she might win the case, but she's known for stretching the law and being novel. And when you're going after the man who is running for president and you don't want to become a banana republic, you have to apply the Nixon standard. When Nixon was threatened with impeachment and prosecution, Republicans and independents all supported that because it was the most traditional case. You know, erasing tapes, bribing witnesses, nothing novel, no RICO, no extraordinary conspiracy. So this fails because it's an A-plus indictment. That is, it's a creative, novel indictment, the kind of thing I would give my students a high grade for. But if you want to be a prosecutor against the president, you have to be a C student and just go with the tradition. Nothing creative, nothing novel, nothing brilliant.
Renato, put a button on that in terms of your experience as a prosecutor, because what are you supposed to do when it's a former president? Are you supposed to say, listen, I can't do this the same way I ordinarily would, or maybe we should wait? You know, I take the professor's point about don't try anything fancy because you got to show that this is something you must do. But how is a prosecutor supposed to deal with who it is that they're thinking about prosecuting?
I think that's right. Look, there's no playbook for how to prosecute a former president. There's no rule. The rule that the professor's talking about is one that he's made up. Frankly, getting both sides to agree on anything nowadays is impossible in American politics. It's just the reality of things. If we waited for both sides to agree on something, we probably would be waiting for the rest of our lives. But look, this is an unprecedented circumstance in which the former president did something no one's ever tried to do before, which is prevent the peaceful transfer of power, try to overturn the election. Since George Washington, that's something that has been a hallmark of our country. And so obviously, prosecutors all the time, there has to be somebody who goes first. I don't think the fact that it's novel means anything. I was the first prosecutor to prosecute a particular statute that had been enacted by Congress. At the time, it was the first case of its kind against a high-frequency trader. It was, a lot of people were concerned about it. Everyone has to go first. And I would just say, too, Donald Trump, in some of these cases, is facing charges. Not in this case, but in some cases, like Mar-a-Lago, is facing very straightforward charges. And the professor didn't support those indictments either, right? So when he's trying to get people to erase tapes, destroy evidence, willfully retain classified documents, those are very straightforward. Other people are prosecuted for those things all the time. And yet he said that the same standard wasn't met there.
Well, the same standard should be met when it comes to the president. And the standard at least has to be that he did something much worse than previous people have done. This has happened since George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Aaron Burr, Tilden Hayes, Kennedy, particularly 2000, when I was involved on behalf of Al Gore, who should have been president. He was cheated out of the election. We used every legal gambit in the book. We tried to create alternate slates of electors. We lobbied state officials. We demanded recounts. We ultimately lost. Now, Al Gore was a mensch. He left. He agreed that after the Supreme Court erroneously ruled against him 5-4, he walked away. But if he had contested the election, that would not have been a crime. It might have been bad manners, bad politics, but it wouldn't have been a crime. It's not a crime to contest an election. It's not a crime. And the hypothetical I would use on my students is as follows. Let's assume hypothetically Trump was right and the Georgia election was stolen. If that were the case, everything he did would have been proper. It would have been commended. We would have praised him for turning the election correctly. And if that's true, and if he honestly believed, and that's going to be the key question, if he honestly believed the election was stolen, then you have to judge his actions based on that subjective belief, not on a reasonable basis.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of News Nation's fact-driven coverage.